After I die, I want my body to be eaten by wolves. Don't wanna be buried in a box that won't even let me decompose. And if my family wants to, they can throw a little party and talk about how they'll miss me, and hopefully they'll be happy for me. And in the spring I'll come back as a flash of lightning and light up the whole sky. And by winter I'll be baby wolves in the woods, devouring squirrels unsatisfied. There is a real life world under the sky, but there's a different world behind our eyes. And for the real life living loving world to get by, our blind civilized minds and way of living will have to die. Once it's all gone, what will we do then? We've already killed all the fish in the rivers. We don't even know which plants are okay to eat or what grows wild in our own towns. We've forgotten everything, but some of us will get by. Oh, some of us will get by. We will remember what we've forgotten in the last 10,000 years. We will remember what we've forgotten eventually. And there will be trees where there are telephone poles. There will be folk ditties instead of rock and roll. And we will laugh, but only after we clean up all the mess from the crash. 'Cause after all, it's gonna be a messy one. Mornings we'll sit around in a circle in the new day's light, talking about the real world where we all spend our nights. We'll go check out the flower in the dream we shared, watch its petals take flight, and then go back to digging up roots and singing. Yeah, there will still be trouble, struggles, and strife, but they will be such small potatoes after civilized life. And I'm not proposing we all live the same way. No, that's the problem. Solution: 10,000 cultures out of 10,000 places. The evenings before we all drift back off into sleep, We'll sit around the fire lamp and just listening. A couple little sparks will remind us of that time we got so off track, and that it's so good to be alive again. Standing in a field is not only a tree in a field, it's actually the whole world. It's the wind blowing through the leaves, it's the bird sounds in the breeze, it's the water that feeds the roots, and the ocean that the water comes from. It's the fish swimming in that sea, it's the boy climbing that tree, it's the fruit that falls in the autumn, and the truck that takes the fruit to the market. It's the money that the fruit is bought with, it comes right out of my pocket. As I give tree back to tree, I see a tree's not just a tree, it's actually the whole world. It's me. As we grow up, we are taught to do things that should naturally happen spontaneously, like eating the right amount of food and going to sleep at the right time, and also getting the right amount of sleep and eating food at the right time. And as we grow up, we are forced to do things that are only acceptable when done voluntarily, like making good decisions and loving. And so we get confused until we start to lose our natural open brilliance and the wisdom of the body. So here we are now, blind by binding boundary lines. And when everything gets all tangled together, it feels impossible to untie, we will die. And then come back to life. Service of the wilderness, everything happens in the service of the wilderness. I gave an apple to a homeless dude and felt the way things come and go as they happen in the service of the wilderness. But don't be proud after doing something good, just understand that it happens in the service of the wilderness. Someone stole my bike, even though it was locked to the rack outside the library. But hey, it happens in the service of the wilderness. As the world gets more fucked up, all we can do is act as the midwife for the birth of a new one, which will inevitably happen in the service of the wilderness. So don't worry or be afraid about things that'll happen anyway. Just do what you can, like give an apple to a homeless dude or pet a dog, but hopefully it's a lot more than that, and let it happen in the service of the wilderness. There's no other. When you see yourself as the whole world, you will discover that you came out of the mother of that same world, as opposed to having come into it, and you will live in the service of the wilderness. Yeah, you'll notice that you're already living in the service of the wilderness. Service of the wilderness, as the new world rises from the other side of the event horizon. There's a whole bunch we need to do, so let's take off our shoes and get right into it. A world to save, nothing to lose. In the service of the wilderness, well, the new generation will come, and we won't be ready for it, and we won't have anywhere to run. So for now, let's live good lives, helping out as good midwives, being aware and accepting it, the service of the wilderness. With the lights on and the cupboards full, can you see beyond your own backyard? Can you taste the destruction in your cornflakes, or see the filth in that soy milk you pour on top? When the table is set and the beef ground up, do you think about the fields your food comes from? Do you give thanks to the life that makes it to your knife? And will you be ready to offer yours one day? Because eating and being eaten is what we're supposed to do with our lives. So let's go climb the highest peak we can find and look down on the world that we're stuck in. Then let's come back down and change everyone's mind, show them the living done here is not living. Let's make some new plans and get rid of all hope, because hope is for things that you can't change. There's a real world stuck beneath concrete roads, so let's rip them up and set it free. The whole world's falling apart. Things are so fucked up, and no one cares that our children won't know how to live, as long as they can blow up mountaintops to stay warm in the winter, and drive to Walmart to buy $20 cashmere sweaters. So stop eating at McDonald's. Only buy local food, or grow it yourself. Who the fuck am I? Tomorrow I'll probably go out on a date for dinner. Okay, so we can't turn the whole world around, but we should still try, and in the meantime we can help make the transformation go as smoothly as possible by doing real work and having real fun and being true to each other so that we can fall apart together. The older you grow, the dumber you get as you keep getting more and more things to dazzle your eyes. Stop growing up for your gold, silver rings and flashy flying things will not take you anywhere. No, stop growing up. The more things you do, the more obsessed you get with doing things, till soon whatever you're doing is empty. Stop growing up. While you drink, shop and vote, your big belly will bloat as you slowly abandon your baby eyes. Stop growing up. And the warming sun will run and run, and then it will rise and testify that if we keep growing up like we've been, someday soon she won't rise up again. There are farmers in the hospitals tonight. We don't don't like to know what we can't see, but we can never see things right. There are ghosts that come out in cornfields after dusk. If you can't turn into syrup, then you just turn into dust. There are invisible costs in every pack or box you buy, with the highest often in those with the lowest dollar signs. So can you personally pay to get your shit out of the lake? Or can you spend an extra dollar at the store? Do you really need that strawberry from the other side of the country? Or can you eat more of what we can actually afford? Cause if we don't change what we're eating, how can we change how we're living? And if we don't change how we're living, this world will not last for long. So turn routine into ritual and eat. There's a difference between acceptance and resignation. There's a difference between hoping and making a change. So when election day comes, will you take to the booth or to the streets? Will you help choose someone to choose for you, or actually do something? Cause there's no revolution in giving up and giving in. And there's no revolution in living here this way. And there's no revolution in finding love in parking lots. Oh, there's no revolution in driving around happy. Oh, any way of living that takes more from the sun than the sun gives can't last. Same with any way of life that takes more from the land than gives back. So will you keep on replacing till there's no more replacements, or finally admit there's no progress, just change? There are gods in your backyard, so wake up to them. Cause there's no revolution in giving up and giving in. There's no revolution in living here this way. There's no revolution in finding love in parking lots. And there's no revolution in driving around happy. Cause the real revolution is in learning about where you live. And the real revolution is in living there instead of in sitcom stories. And the real revolution is dismantling both our cities and minds. And the real revolution will only happen if you make it happen. So I hear we got like 4 more years left before the transformation comes. And well, it seems to me that if that's not the case, it'll happen in no more than like 35, give or take. So it's up to you, and it's up to you. Well, it's all up to you, and it's up to me too, to make the landing smooth, to make the landing as smooth as possible at least. 'Cause if we keep falling the way we're falling down, gravity won't guide us gently to the ground. Gravity won't guide us gently to the ground. The gravity won't guide us gently to the ground. 'Cause all the gravity wants is a fat dollar, and all the gravity sees is money. And there is no living in the living room, only microwave TV dummies. Yeah, there is no living in the living room, only bellies full of empty tummies. So what then can we actually do to make the landing smooth? 'Cause writing letters to politicians and marching around with big signs doesn't really change anything. And yeah, recycling is cool and being vegan is fine. Riding your bike instead of driving across state lines, and turning off the water while you're brushing your shines all help a little bit, I guess, but don't really change anything. So what then can we actually do to make the landing smooth? How about getting rid of concepts like yours and mine, giving back to the world for all we find, realizing we are larger than our body's size, and finally living life alive. Yeah, okay, well that all sounds real great, but what can we actually do? What can we actually do to make the landing smooth? Well, devote your whole life to figuring it out and then do it.